Hello, all, and welcome to I Write Out Loud. I am Dana Dubois, and I will be your cruise director this evening. Ha ha ha. We're not really on a cruise. We are here to talk about writing. We are here specifically to talk about an essay that I wrote about Dr. Oz's notion that the U.S. is underbabied and my thoughts on what it means to be underbabied. Because in a way, Dr. Oz is not wrong, and we are going to get into that. But first, we're going to give a few minutes for folks to arrive. In the chat, if you could, hi everybody who's joining, if you could type where you are listening in from and maybe like something interesting or fascinating that has happened to you today or something you've thought about today. Go ahead and type it in the chat because I want to pull up. Hold on, I got to close all the browser windows. I want to pull up the live so that I can come in here and say a proper hello. And then we'll get started jumping in just a few minutes. I've got like a hair here. It's being very weird. I'm getting my hair cut and colored next week. It's really overdue. Like, look at how brown. If you're wondering my natural hair color, it is mousy brown. And I just don't think I was made to have mid-tone brown hair. Hi, Linnea in San Francisco. I'll go first. I am Dana in Seattle, Washington. And my fascinating thing for the day is I just got off a call talking to a woman who is going to help me and my creative partner pull together a book proposal. And I have never done long form writing like that. We're both kind of terrified of it, but we also have a book we need to try to get published. And we're at the stage in life where we're like, fuck it, it's now or never. And so we hired someone to help us pull together a book proposal. And that was the call I just came from. So I need to take a sip of water, but it was very exciting. Speaking of people who have published books, hi, Amy. It's nice to see you. Yeah, if things go as planned, I guess watch this space because I write out loud. We are literally going to write this book out loud if we do it. Like we will be here on Substack taking photos and probably sharing some drafts or insights, as we go, because I'm not going to be quiet about it. If I'm writing a book, I'm going to be screaming about it. So we'll see. Kira is here for her treat. And off she goes. Isn't it so funny how much brighter it is? Because I'm doing this not at the daily whatever time, but late afternoon here in Seattle. It kind of cracks me up how that happens. Here I've opened my page, but I haven't joined the live. So let me say hello, all. I usually would do this on Wednesdays. I think I'm netting out that this either happens in my time zone at 4 or 5 p.m. on Wednesday or Thursday. Yesterday, Lawrence and I were on the Opinionated Ogres podcast at 5 p.m. And that was exciting. It was his 100th episode. He and Florida Girl Rants were on their 100th episode of their podcast. They asked us to join. How could we say no to that? It was such an honor. So that's why we're on Thursday. So far, it's pretty small in numbers here, but I think we'll go ahead and get started. If I could ask everyone to kind of click the heart, that does signal to Substack that like, hey, this is a pretty good live. Maybe other people should come and join it. So, so we'll see if folks come and join it. If not, we will have an intimate gathering, and that is fine by me. Thank you. Oh, look at all those hearts coming up. Thank you. I'll just pretend they were because I said something brilliant and not because I asked you to send them up. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Here comes the link to the story that we will be talking about today, this essay. And while I am pulling it up, I am going to say, I Write Out Loud is my home for creative nonfiction. It It has been just over 4 months since I launched it. It has been incredible sharing these essays with all of you. And it's really helps me to grow as a writer. And what I've come to realize is that while I write across a multitude of topics, they all have a uniting factor. And it is this idea that I am at an age where there is an assumption of arrival. I think many of us are who are here on this chat or listening later after I post this. I'm in my mid 50s. By now, most people think that anything that you are going to be, you've kind of been. And it doesn't tend to be a time associated historically with great creative outpouring or ambition or kind of that next big thing. I am still hungry for those next big things. I am still curious and seeking, and I am not stagnant and arrived. I am in mid flight, in midlife. And I think that is a commonality with the essays that I write and the people that it resonates with. I think that the people who come here and we have these discussions around the essays, the reason they're so interesting is because we all share that wish to not be, um, you know, old like our parents before us got old. So I'm I don't know if it's quite the right tagline to say mid-flight and midlife, but those are words that keep coming to me as I'm growing and thinking about what I want this to continue to become. And I've also spent a lot of time thinking about how this is as an essayist, I do not write memoir that lives just in my mind in isolation. All of these essays that I write speak to broader cultural and political conversations. And I think that is something that resonates with all of you who are here, that the personal rarely exists in a vacuum. We are all living within this crazy rubbish of a modern life that we're living through. And so, to varying degrees, all of my creative outputs are commentary around our culture or sometimes even our politics. The essay for this week, though, is it's more of a personal essay than memoir, and it is blatantly political and cultural. And it has a bit less of the memoir and more personal commentary. I originally wrote this for Blue Ant Media, which is a political publication here on Substack. And I was honored they ran it last week, and I am sharing it here this week to keep the conversation going. And also because I got my heart broken on Sunday. And so I was not in a good space to write a new essay. Facts behind the scenes, right? You all have been very kind to me this week as I have been processing what all of that has been. And you know that I will have many words to share about that in the days or weeks to come, in the form of creative nonfiction. Thank you, Linnea. But today, good evening, Stacy. Today, we're in a couple minutes, we will be jumping into the essay of the week. Before I do that, I do want to let you all know that it's been 4 months, as I said, since this launched, and these 4 months have been incredible. I really didn't know what the response would be if I came out kind of in a full-throated way about creative nonfiction in these political times. It has been so exciting to see how many people have responded to it and how it has grown. And what I'm realizing now is that I am kind of through the infancy of the site. The introductory phase is over. And now I have built a sustained practice. There's a cadence and a rhythm and a community here. And now I'm trying to figure out, like, where do I want to take this? Where do I want to grow it? And what's becoming very clear is, just as I write about how I am still in mid-flight, part of that flight for me is learning how to lean on my own creativity to sustain my life. I have always had creative side projects while maintaining, a day job, a very serious day job that actually supported my life. And I'm still doing that today. So these essays, these podcasts, they're happening in the odd hours, the stolen time, usually stolen away from sleep or time to, you know, be doing other things. But this is my passion. I'm happy to be doing that. And also I am trying to get to a place where this will sustain my life. And so I am going to be rolling out more paid subscriber features in the coming months. I hope these are exciting ones. Some of them will be the essays themselves. Some of them will go partially behind a paywall. But some of them are going to be things that I hope will be interesting for this community, help you grow as writers, to help you grow here on Substack, if those are things you're interested in, to help you learn from other creative writers and leaders. So I have a lot of thoughts and ideas up here. Where I am right now in June is the introductory pricing that I have had running since this launched is going to be coming to a close. So if you are in a place where you can afford to support writers and podcasters here on Substack, and if this is the kind of publication you would like to support, now is the time because the introductory pricing is about to come off. There are 3 more days to take advantage of the $4 a month subscription that is running. Right now, it's $4 a month or $40 a year. That is well under Substack norms. And I did that intentionally while I was building because I didn't quite know what I was building. But now that I'm here, that rate will roll off over time. And the monthly rate of $4 a month will end this weekend. Sunday is the last day. So you have 3 more days. I would love it if during this live, I could get a few more paid subscribers coming in at this $4, $40 a month rate. I am hoping that anyone who wants to continue on this journey is able to come along with me and to be able to access everything. So the rates will be going up quite a bit by July. So I'm just going to keep putting it out there. The monthly rate comes off first. The $40 a year will keep going for a couple weeks. I haven't picked an exact end date, but definitely by end of month, it will be coming off. And then in July, I'm looking to start rolling in some new offerings at the paid subscriber level. So I think that's enough said about me and my ambitions here to grow the Substack into a sustaining practice. If you are able to support what I'm doing, fantastic. If financially that is not a place where you are, I'm still thrilled you are here. Please stay, please read, share, restack, all the things. And most of all, right now, please be a part of the conversation we're about to have. Wow, a whole bunch of folks just joined. It is so good to have you here. Before I just put the link to the essay there, but I do want to put one link in the chat here to this subscribe page that is featuring the $4 monthly and $40 annual subscriptions. So I just put that in there. And let me grab the link one more time. This essay is called America Isn't Under-Babied, It's Motherless. And let me ask by show of hands, or actually you can just put a 1 in the chat. Did you all read in the news, here in the news, earlier this month when Dr. Oz made the statement that we are under-babied? Put a 1 in the chat if you heard it. Put a 2 in the chat if you didn't hear it, if this is a new word to you. And I'm going to keep an eye to the chat and see, thank you for all the hearts popping in there. I see a 1. Don't be shy. Oh, there's 1. Okay. So far, I'm getting all yeses that folks are familiar that this happened, which is good to hear. Thank you. So Dr. Oz, great mind that he is, made a statement that America is under-babied. And that really sat with me because, I'm a word nerd, and that means I think words have gravitas. Words move the world. And I do not like the sounds of the turn of phrase under-babied. I just don't. That is a tough one. And so I got the idea for this essay, and I was like, this won't read like a personal memoir. This is going to be more of an explainer because I have a lot of thoughts about what it means to be underbabied, why we are underbabied. And as I was doing that work of writing the essay, I saw on Substack, I believe it was Linda Carroll who posted it, wonderful writer, and she posted a note saying, Motherless is back online. Again, put a 1 in the chat if you're familiar with what Motherless is, the website, and put a 2 in the chat if you don't know what I mean when I say Motherless, just to give me some context so I know how much, explaining to do. Hi, Hippy Dippy Shelley. That's a great name. Amy and Linnea, you get the gold stars. And Stacy, the same 3 in the same order just came in with 1s. I love that. So Motherless, for those who may not know, is a website that famously got talked about or had an expose written about it on CNN because they were hosting a community of men who were very into sleep porn. And I am putting sleep porn in quotes because these women were not sleeping, nor was it really porn. It was rape. And it was men who were, I'm sure they still are, drugging their wives and girlfriends, having sex with them, which when you have sex with a woman who is unconscious, person who's unconscious, that is rape always. And then they were posting these videos to Motherless with tags like sleep porn so that other men could find them. And they built a community. There were over 1,000 men in this community who were swapping stories, selling the drugs, and otherwise just sort of making pals with other men who were really into sleep porn. And I did write a whole essay about Motherless and sort of the horrors of what it means that these men who had sexual access to these women, it was their wives and their girlfriends, why did they want to drug them and have sex with them? They didn't have to drug them. Presumably, the women were already their sexual partners. I'm going to put that essay in the chat as well. It's one of my favorite essays I've written, and I think it's the most read one so far on I Write Out Loud. It's called They Had Access, They Removed Consent. And the idea of it was they're doing this to desecrate women because they're angry. And they turn to the most accessible woman they knew. And they are intentionally humiliating and degrading her in the place where she should feel safest, her own home, her own bed, next to her partner. And the extra humiliation about it is she doesn't even know it's happening. And he's posting it for his buddies online for fun, friendship, and sometimes profit. Like that is a grotesque state of affairs, right? So when CNN did this expose, Motherless was taken down. And stories were written about that. Isn't it great? We had a win. The site came down. But you know what? The site very quietly is now back up. And I cannot find a single article written about it other than in the Netherlands. One Netherlands, that's not a word. One Netherlands-owned newspaper published a story just simply stating it was back online. I may be researching this more and writing about it more. I'm not sure I have the stomach for it, to be honest. The idea of paying, first of all, because I'm sure that content is all behind the paywall, to spelunk into just the depths of depravity and see what's there. Like, I don't know if I have the stomach for it. But what I do know is that as I went to write this story about how underbabied the US is, I also got the news that Motherless was back online. Most of the traffic for this website is coming from the US. So these are American readers. One moment. Okay. So those two things don't necessarily seem related, but in my mind, as I wrote this essay, they were and they are. So that's where the title of it's 24 minutes after the hour, and I'm getting to the title of this essay. But it really is relevant because Dr. Oz isn't wrong. We are underbabied in the US. Boy, I'm fidgety today. How this wooden kitchen chair is not the most comfortable chair in the world. So Dr. Oz is talking about birth rates, right? And sorry, there's a dog barking outside and getting my dog all excited. She's protecting all of us, you guys. So there's a replenishment rate that a healthy country likes to see because we need young, healthy, able-bodied folks coming up, coming up to replace the aging population. Our economy relies on it. And we are at the lowest levels we have ever been here in the US. I have it in the article. I believe it was 1.6. We are replenishing. Oops, I'm on the Online Rape Academy one. Let me come back over here. We are replenishing at the total fertility rate is 1.6 children per woman. That is the lowest ever recorded since they started recording that data point, according to the Population Reference Bureau. So Dr. Oz isn't wrong. We are underbabied, and that has some scary implications for us as a culture. But here's where he's very wrong. Socializing a turn of phrase like underbabied when we are up against all of the challenges I outline in this article it's not even just irresponsible. It's harrowing. Uh, I cannot have more babies. I've never been so happy to be menopausal. Like, no more babies from this machine, thank goodness. But I have two daughters who are 16 and 18. And when I hear our country saying things like we are underbabied, where my mind goes is forced pregnancy. And I know that might sound irrational and tinfoil hat-ish to some people, but my point of view is that we suffer for a lack of imagination here in the US. And we keep saying things are possible, and we women mostly, at least in the instances of things like Roe v. Wade, we come out and we're like, this is really bad. Trump got elected the first time. Roe v. Wade is a goner. I got told by so many people I was being ridiculous and hysterical and yada, yada, yada. But meanwhile, what happened pretty quickly, it didn't take a genius dot connector to see that that's what could happen, right? And the more we socialize language that is subjugating women, the more we talk about the harm feminism is doing the world, like CBS is doing and the New York Times and Washington Post and all these stories, the more we're elevating people like Erica Kirk who are talking about women needing to be in the home, the more trad wife is becoming something that young women are aspiring to, the more that risk exists. That Overton window of what's normal is just getting pushed further and further toward the MAGA right. And how many clicks further down does it have to be removed until what we start hearing is like, oh, well, we're underbabied. We can't have these young, fertile bodies going to waste, which is a grotesque thought. But it's there, right? It has to be stated. And in addition to that, this essay just dives into the myriad of ways, 8 specifically, that of course we're underbabied. Of course, women and men too, the men who they would be making babies with, are opting out in record numbers. And so I go through, and I'm about to dive in and kind of talk about these reasons. But before I do that, I want to come back to the chat. Oh, I see a bunch of people have joined. I don't see a bunch of comments quite yet. Please do feel free to weigh in. This is always a two-way conversation. There's a bunch of new names in here mixing in with some of the familiar ones. I'm going to welcome Radha and Yancy and Jennifer and Lemony210 and Sky Blue Eyes and Michelle and Clover and Myra and Debbie, Judy. I already said hi to Stacy. Hippy Dippy Shelley, I love your name. Robert, welcome everybody. I'm so glad you're here. Please do feel free to weigh in and comment here. I'll start with the question of like, how do you feel? When you hear a phrase like we're under-babied, how did you feel when you first heard it? How do you feel about it now? Hearing me monologue about it. For me, I got the ick really hard. I got a real sinking hit right here when I heard under-babied, because I don't think Dr. Oz was talking off the cuff and just tossed that out there. I think this is coming from like a think tank comms team to start socializing the idea that women need to get breeding. And that's terrifying at this moment in time to me. So I don't know if anyone else had feelings about the use of that word or those two words paired. Sky Blue Eye says, I think they're driving women away and scaring us. Yes. And that's where my essay starts to go. I'm going to post the link again because so many people joined since I last posted it, just so you all have it as reference. You know what I'm talking about here. I will ask if you enjoy this talk, if you read the essay and you enjoy it, I would welcome your comments on it, your hearts on it, and restacking is the very best. That really helps get the word out. And I want everyone to read this. And Stuart says they're referring to under-white-babied. 100%. I should have said that by now, Stuart. Thank you for jumping in. To be clear, the reason we have not been under-babied this badly before is immigration. Because immigrants have come here and have had babies here. And that has kept our numbers higher. That's not happening at the same rate now. So they're not reversing that situation to make things better. They want white babies. And they feel threatened that the numbers are not in their favor. That the number of either mixed race babies or just babies from people who are not white is on the up. And the, two white parents making white babies at least 2.5 per family, that's going down. So yes, that needed to be said. Thank you, Stuart. Sky Blue Eyes says, pretty soon buy to easy access birth control, just gross, taking away all our rights. Yes. I don't have that in this essay. This essay could have gone in like 20 different directions and it was already pretty long, but we're not making that up. There's lots of people out there talking about that now that Roe v. Wade has been overturned, that they've got their eye on birth control. And that terrifies me. I mean, I know a lot of parents with teenage daughters, like as I have, who are opting in for IUDs now, sometimes even before their kids are sexually active, simply because they're worried there won't be access. And they're good for, I forget, 5 or 6 years, maybe even longer. So yeah, that's the reality that we're living in. Dr. Oz gives me the ick. Yeah, for sure. Under-babied is a euphemism. It's intentionally obtuse. I mean, who doesn't like babies? Yes, the language is intentionally chosen. And it's dangerous. My sons are 21 and 17 and great young men, but so many young men are a-holes, raised poorly, like women are for sex only. Yeah, Sky Blue Eyes, I had a line item that I ended up removing, and maybe I'm going to need like a second essay of more reasons why we're under-babied, but this one doesn't even get into the young men and women political bifurcating that's happening, that women are getting more progressive and men are getting more conservative. And but I do touch on it in the first bullet point, which we'll get to in a minute. But I'm glad you've raised good men. And yeah, I fear for where our young men are right now. If I had girls, I would definitely support IUD now. I'm a retired physician. Oh, that's so good to know. Yeah, I don't want to say anything about my kids and to protect their privacy, but yes, I hear you on that for sure. I'm going to come back to the essay now, and we're going to go kind of point by point through this because usually my essays are all lyrical and memoirish and memory, and this one is a straight up personal essay. So there's 8 items, and we're going to walk through them, and I'm going to keep coming back to the chat to get your feedback. So the first one touches on the point that you made, sky blue eyes. And it's around the fact that women no longer need to marry for survival, right? I'm Gen X, so I was born in the 70s. I have never known a world where I did not have access to the same freedoms and rights as men in terms of career, college major, ability to get a credit card, a mortgage, a car, run a marathon. Not that I have ever or will ever run a marathon. I could if I wanted to. All of these things have happened in my lifetime. We're right about it, you know? But they already existed when I got here. And I have always had a sense of like the moral arc of the universe, goes up, and there's no way that it would ever roll back. And I'm realizing now how tenuous those rights always were because I'm seeing them rolling back for my daughters. Oh, and of course, access to birth control, access to abortion has always been there. So, but what happened once we gave women all this access? Like, we're kind of killing it, you guys. We're graduating college at higher rates. We are building careers, paying our own bills. So in the past, women had to marry young, late teens, early 20s, because they couldn't get a lease. They couldn't get a credit card without a husband to co-sign. So pretty much a fella with a job, and you were like, okay, it's time for me to get married. And that was all you had. And now that's no longer enough. And so the response, I'm not making this quote up and I can't remember the attribution for it, but there's this idea that we've spent decades raising our girls to become a new flavor of women, of competent, independent women, but we didn't change the way we raised our sons, present company excluded. So many of us didn't. And so we have these young adults now who don't know how to date one another because we haven't raised men to be able to deal with these independent women. Not deal with, but to partner with them, right? And so what's happened is reactionary. There's Gen Z men are being radicalized, and women are looking at them, these independent young women, and they're like, no thanks. I'd love a partner and maybe to have a family, but not like this. And unless there is force, I would like to hope that is not going to roll back, but I do think they are trying their damn hardest with their control of the legacy media, talking about feminism harming women with the rise of the trad wife movement on social media. Those are not like I don't have proof points for this, but um, I do believe that this is true, and I should really go get the proof points next time before I say this. Like, our side of the fence does not fund influencers like the other side of the fence does, because they recognize that culture moves politics in a way that we still aren't doing cohesively. I recognize it. You all probably recognize it. But collectively, the liberal side of American politics has not acknowledged that. So if there are any billionaire Democrats out there who want to fund like mouthy, outspoken content creators online to try to like move public opinion and culture to influence politics. Like we're right here. We're all on Substack right now. Come fund us and we will fight back. But we are losing that battle hard right now. Really losing that battle hard. I'm going to come back. It's hard for me to talk and also read because I'd be like this. So I'm going to come back here and read. Ironically, Trump promotes Dr. Oz while he himself is the Wizard of Oz behind the curtain, protecting strength while being extraordinarily weak and feckless. I love the word feckless. And very good point, Stuart. Amy says, my son is 14 and goes to a private school where they have more freedom in terms of sex ed. There are lessons about consent that I feel are absent from the cultural discourse. I'm thrilled your son is getting that education. My kids also got sex ed here in Seattle public schools. They were taught about gender. They were taught about sexuality. They were taught about consent. But now my eldest is launching out into the world and she's going to college in a red state with people from all over. And Lord only knows the kind of education those fellows have gotten. Mm. Gen X power, you're 1971. Woo! 1970! We're almost the same age. You're worried about the school's influence and my influence on my son as he gets older. Yeah, it must be really scary to be raising boys right now. I mean, it's scary just to be raising kids right now, but different kinds of fear. And okay, I just got a text pop in from my kids. They're having steak and mashed potato at their dad's tonight, and I'm a little jealous. Not gonna lie. Within patriarchal systems, men lose agency and prestige by talking about their feelings, and that leads to poor social skills. Women gain agency by being good communicators and managing the family's emotions. Yep. No argument here. You are completely right. So that's kind of reason number one. Women don't need men in the same way. And I'm going to move through some of these kind of quickly because the eighth one is the biggest one I want to talk about. Number two, I don't think there'll be any arguments from this crowd. Pregnancy has become more dangerous in America. We already had one of the highest infant mortality or maternal mortality rates in the developed world. But it's much worse now because Roe v. Wade went down. And there are huge gaps in women's health and especially maternal coverage now. When you remove abortion access, it doesn't just impact women who want to have abortions. It impacts all of women's health. It certainly impacts OB healthcare. And women now are facing just catastrophic situations across their healthcare when pregnant, both because there are not enough OBGYNs. In rural areas, there are not hospitals with birthing suites. Women are having to go just crazy distances to deliver, which, I mean, our hospital here was half a mile from the house, and that was the longest half a mile I've ever driven while in active labor. My God. So the idea of having to drive 60, 70 miles to find a hospital, like, get out of here. There are going to be a lot of babies born roadside. And then women who have wanted pregnancies are having complications, and some of them are dying. If you pay it, you kind of have to look for this in the news because these are not the stories that our main, like, biggest legacy publications are featuring like they should be. Looking at you, Washington Post, at all. But there are all these women who are hemorrhaging and dying because legal teams are scared to take action because what is happening is a form of abortive care, even if it's a desired pregnancy. When you miscarry after a certain point in pregnancy, you have to have a D&C to remove all of the tissue. It's just part of what has to happen. And yeah, women are bleeding out and dying. So, and then of course, healthcare premiums are insane. If you were on the ACA, costs went up, over 30% since last year to maintain just health insurance, not even the cost of the health care. If you're lucky enough to have a job where you have benefits, I don't know, I feel like all of us feel like this far away from a huge corporate meltdown, loss of job, everything feels very unstable. How can you possibly feel secure in getting pregnant? Pregnancy is such a risk in the body. Like, you are taking such a chance by getting pregnant. But I knew, when I was pregnant that I was in really good hands medically. I would not feel that way today. Even here in Seattle, where things are so much better, it's still such a risk. So, obviously, another very impactful reason why families are opting out. And I'm going to come back here and read. I love that everybody's exchanging their Gen X birth years. Yay, Gen X. Upstart Raven. I saw that North Carolina proposed law that would allow killing of women and providers for getting abortions. The Daily Whatever Show, which is my daily podcast I host with my best friend Lawrence. Every Friday, we have a show called Effed Up Friday, or we can just say Fucked Up Friday. We're all adults here. And we invite a guest on and we each pitch what we think was the most fucked up news of the week. Generally, maybe a news item people might have missed. And last week, our guest shared that story and won in a landslide. That North Carolina is proposing legislation that would penalize women who seek abortive care with death. Death from the pro-life party. I really hope it doesn't pass. I don't know what the odds are of it passing, but it's terrifying. Amy says, I wrote an article about having a DNC for a miscarriage at 12 weeks. This was in 2009, but women have died without access to it. I'm sorry that you went through that. And also, I'm so glad you could get the care you needed. And you're right. It's necessary medical care. Upstart, thank you for the link about the situation in North Carolina. And Jessica Valenti's Abortion Every Day is the best news source. 100%. If you are not subscribed to Jessica Valenti, are you even on Substack? I think really, truly, before I even joined Substack, I was subscribed to Abortion Every Day. Jessica Valenti is a gift. She's amazing. Okay. So moving on to the next reason here, we're going to go through. This one was personal for me and maybe is not the first thing that would come to mind for most people, but I'm a dot connector. We are all watching the government target LGBTQ plus people and kids, right? They are in the crosshairs of so much legislation. It was 8 days after Trump took office. I don't even like saying his name. It makes me do this. But it was just 8 days after he took office that he passed his first anti-trans executive order, and it was aimed at kids. And I wrote an essay about it that I'm going to also put in the chat here because I really love this essay. I wrote it back in 2025, right after he took office, because I happened to be in the Seattle Children's Hospital Adolescent Care Clinic when that EO dropped. And I was with my daughter. She was 17 at the time and back by herself because she's grown up and able to do that by herself, which is wonderful. She was not there for gender care, but that is the gender care center, and it is under locked door. And I was watching how tender the staff was with these patients and families and thinking about what had to have transpired between these kids and their parents who they were there with and the trust that was there and the wonderful care they were receiving. And then this executive order with all of this hate-filled language from our president targeting these kids. And it was just a monstrous thing. The story originally ran in Parent Map, which is a wonderful Pacific Northwest-based parenting magazine that's now a website. It's been around for decades. And it historically is where you look to figure out what to do on the weekends when you have little kids. But online now they have wonderful content, including stuff for older kids. And I sent this story to my editor there. And I was like, I know with everything with Trump, I don't know if you can run a story like this. And she was like, I love this story and we're not editing a word. And they ran it. which I thought was really brave. And I was very happy that it ran. I was very unhappy with the situation. So I just reposted it. And I thought, because I was thinking about it in terms of this Under-Babied idea of like the percent of folks who identify as queer among Gen Z is just way higher than in our generation. I put it in the essay. I think it's like 20%. Nearly 30% of Gen Z adults identify as LGBTQ, excuse me, and 2.8% identify as trans. So these are not outliers. If the folks considering having babies are not queer themselves, they certainly know queer people, and they're certainly aware that their kids might be queer. And they are seeing in the news what's happening with banning books, with not allowing kids to talk about their parents if they have, two mommies or two daddies, queer teachers not being allowed to talk about themselves, and especially just all this anti-trans kid rhetoric. And I think that, and then the piece de resistance was, as I was writing this, Trump dropped the U.S. counterterrorism strategy document on all of us. And in the opening statement that he signs, he ends it with, so if you are a terrorist, we will find you and we will kill you. And he includes people who follow radical transgender ideology as terrorists in this statement. And that's me. That was that's everyone I know and love. We are all now apparently terrorists for loving and supporting our LGBTQ plus friends, family, and neighbors. My daughter went through a gender journey. I think a lot of you know that, when she was 11, maybe 12 into that year. She is now my daughter once again. I don't know what the future holds for her in terms of her identity, but I know she feels safe here with her family and in Seattle. But this is an issue that is near and dear to my heart, and I have to think a lot of Gen Z and younger millennials' hearts as well. And they are watching the government target LGBTQ plus folks, and they're like, that could be my kid. That could be my kid, right? I'm going to come back to the comments here and see if anyone has anything to say. I'm also going to put out a little humble request of to click the hearts to see if even more folks want to find this story. It's a good thing to do periodically throughout. And there's the link again. I just posted it. Sorry, guys. I'm repeating myself. Let's see. And the afterbirth with retained placenta. If docs need any of the tools from the DNC trays, they can't get them. And normal postpartum moms die while family and other kids are still visiting them in the hospital. Oh my God. That's crazy. I mean, it's just crazy. And yet it's real. It's here. It's monstrous. So I will move on to the fourth reason why we are under-babied. And I need to pick up the pace because it is 5:52. The future looks increasingly dystopian and uninhabitable. Here I talk about climate change. And this is something near and dear to the hearts of my Gen Z kids, and I know many other Gen Zers. And that countdown timer, after which we hit the point where it is too late to make an impact, I think we're at like 3 years. I mean, we are right on the verge of that. And it's devastating to think of what the impact is going to be. I don't know that I will live long enough to really see the fallout, maybe, but my kids, for sure. And the idea of bringing kids in the world while knowing the potential devastation and lack of natural resources that are going to be available is, it's dystopian as fuck, as I wrote in the story. It's scary, right? I can imagine a world where if I had known about that before having kids, I possibly would have made different decisions. I don't know. I've always wanted to have kids, so I might not have. But, Sky Blue Eye says, my cousin is transgender living in Seattle. He is happy there. Thanks. I hope it stays that way. I've been thinking about writing an essay or at least a note about how, living in Washington, and especially in Seattle, is wild because I feel like we're like the final holdout of like liberal goodness. Like just today on Facebook, I saw our governor, Bob Ferguson, posted he signed an executive order, a protective order for women in the workplace who are perimenopausal and menopausal and dealing with medical symptoms. I haven't dug into the EO, but I was like, what? Like, I'm so used to trauma in the news that when good stuff like that comes out, I'm like, what is happening? And that's not the only one. There and then of course all the trolls are in there. All the, if you leave the blue dots of the cities of Washington, you're in troll land again. You're in Trump land. But we so outnumber them that it's okay. Hopefully that holds for forever. But yeah, there was another one about, I think there is an executive order that protects trans kids or trans people in general, queer people in general. I believe there is even one that codifies abortion rights here in the state. Don't quote me on that. But like he just passed a millionaire's tax that people who are making, I forget what the dollar amount is, but it's real high, pay at a higher tax rate to fund programs. So Washington is like this last holdout where the news coming from the government is sometimes good and it's wonderful, but it's also just, it makes my heart ache because there used to be a time that was coming out of the federal government too, right? Um, Definitely Seattle is doing the best work. Yeah, yeah. That's why I pay $1 bazillion to live here, and gas is almost $7 a gallon. But wouldn't move, wouldn't change it for the world. Let's see. Oh, number 5, AI is making the future of work unknowable. We already kind of talked about the fact that it's very hard to have babies when you don't know if you will have income or a job, especially in a country where healthcare is tied to job. I mean, that's just a straight path. And I literally go into work every day being like, any minute now, there's another rift coming my way, and that's it. And I will never have a job again. That's really what it feels like, especially at my age. But I'm facing that, in my mid-50s as someone who's worked a long time and has some equity built. But like, imagine being 27 and being like, is there even going to be work? And then contemplating taking on raising a child. And the next item, number 6, the cost of childcare, the costs of college. Oh my God, we're facing that down now. My eldest is about to leave for college. Thankfully, she got some great scholarships. But like, holy mother of shit, is college expensive? There was one college she got into, it's in New York City. So, it's going to be expensive. And I knew it would be expensive, but she got in and she found out she got a $33,000 a year scholarship. And I was like, oh my gosh, it's a great school. And I was like, maybe it's in range. So she got a $33,000 a year scholarship. Do you want to guess what just tuition, room, and board is per year at this New York-based school? Go ahead and guess in the chat if your fingers are free and you feel like taking a guess. I'll give you guys a minute. Yes, Mom Donnie being elected does feel like there's some hope. I agree. Do we have any guesses for the cost of 1 year of tuition, room, and board in New York City? I see 120K, I see 50K in the middle. One's too high, one's too low. I'll just give it away. $93,000. So she got a $33,000 a year scholarship. The delta, 60. That you're pretty close, Myra. 80. Yeah, it was 93, and that was just straight up tuition, room, board. That's not plane flights. That's not any of the sundries and things that just life costs. So just tuition, room, and board, even after that very generous scholarship, would have been $250,000 fucking dollars, you guys, for an undergraduate degree. Undergraduate. Like, we've been saving the kids' whole lives for both of them so that we have money for college. We don't have anywhere near that amount. I mean, that's a lot of money. So, you meant minus the $30,000 scholarship. Oh, then you were pretty close, Star Raven. So yeah, nuts. She's not going to school there. um, but yeah, so the costs are absurd. Number 7, parenting. I'm just going to go quickly because I want to get to number 8. Parenting, we're isolated and unsupported. I don't have any family out here. I know a lot of people are in that same spot, right? We are increasingly isolated, and it's hard to think about raising a family without having family nearby. I've done it now. It's tough. But the final one, number 8, is really the big one, I think, which is the women who are demanding more babies, they really deeply dislike women, right? That's the hardest part. And Motherless, to bring it back to the title, is like the ultimate example of how deeply the people in charge do not give a shit about women, or they just outright loathe us. Because here's a case where there were over 20,000 videos on this porn site tagged and uploaded. So there's a user account. It's a video. So the man is on screen. I don't know how. Do not watch these videos, but there are presumably some identifying factors. There's IP addresses, right? 20,000 rapes are filmed. And not only has there not been any justice or any talk about investigating, like, what is Kash Patel going to investigate this? Glug, 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 glug. I don't think so. Not only that, the website's just back up and they're self-monitoring. That they have every single video has a little button you can push that says, like, report this. So they count. There's a note on their website of how they count on their community to keep things legal and safe. And I'm like, you're counting on a community of rapists to report rape videos. And then they also have AI oversight for moderation. But don't you know that that's flawed? It's, the model isn't perfect, but it's all back up without impunity. Nothing happened to the owner of the company, the web host place, the men who raped their wives and girlfriends, nothing. And I just can't think of a bigger fuck you to women than that. I don't know if that content is still up. I may try to like calm my stomach enough to be able to go look. I also don't want to pay for content like that. I don't want to give them a dime. So I don't know if I will. But what I do know is that it's back with no consequence. And if you read the essay, you'll see there's just all kinds of overt vitriol. We're hearing Nick Fuentes being one of the leaders who is outright just calling for breeding gulags. Breeding gulags. I did not make up that word. And he has called us the number one political enemy in America. And he famously said, your body, my choice. And when you put those things together, it's just monstrous. Yeah, the Epstein files, giant fuck you to children and women. I mean, there's so many people here on Substack doing the work, reporting the facts, all the things. Nothing of consequence has come of it in the US. Nothing, nothing, nothing. Like, it's so violating and dismaying as a woman moving through the world and realizing that when men come into these ultimate positions of power and wealth where they can do whatever they want without impunity, what they choose to do is terrorize and rape children and very young women. It's a horrible thing to realize. And the Motherless case makes you realize, it's not just the most wealthy and powerful. It's kind of a lot of men. It's not all men, hashtag, but it's an awful lot of them. And the thing is, with those 20,000 videos, those women don't know. There is a chance that I'm in one of those videos. How would I know? These women are drugged. They sleep through it. It's filmed. It's uploaded. They wake up the next day and are none the wiser. I have slept next to a number of men, right? I've had a lot of lived experiences. I trusted all of them. Have they all violated my trust in one form or another? Some more than others. I don't think any of them are capable of that kind of monstrosity, but you know what? How many of the women in those 20,000 videos feel the same way? So none of us know if we're actually in those videos unless we never sleep around a man ever. Right? That's so it's a very rational response when we know we are loathed as we are loathed and we are losing rights and we see the calls for even more of our rights to be removed. The repeal the 19th, something that would have seemed absurd a few years ago. Like that hashtag, that movement, and there's a whole website, like that movement is gaining traction and it's well outside the Overton window now, but for how long? How long? Until that's like, well, maybe it should just be one head of household that votes. Maybe all homes should only be owned by men, and women like me who have their own mortgages should need to cede them to their husbands or their brothers or their fathers. Like things that would have seemed improbable years ago now seem like I could see that happening. And so here, I'm going to read from my essay. Some women hear the hatred and feel outright terror. Others may not consciously frame it that way, but respond intuitively or instinctively by delaying motherhood, rejecting marriage, or opting out entirely. This is an entirely rational response. Because if your version of pro-family begins with stripping women of rights, mocking our independence, and reducing us to reproductive infrastructure, then a lot of women are going to hear that message and think, abso-fucking-lutely not. Right? So it's not so much that we're under-babied, it's that we are under-supported. And that's why we're rejecting motherhood. I am not rejecting motherhood. I have 2 daughters. They are the apples in my eye. I love them more than anything in the world. I would love to be a grandmother one day. No time soon. They're pretty young, but only if they want to be. And I completely understand why they might not want to be, because it is dangerous as fuck right now. I hope by the time they're the age where they are contemplating marriage or babies, not that those things have to go together. By the time they're old enough to contemplate babies, that the world looks different in a better way. I hope we're under different leadership. I hope there have been consequences for everyone in the Epstein files, starting with the one at the top, and that rights for all of us are codified, right? That we can't get a lunatic president in appointing Supreme Court justices that just says, women, yeah, bodily autonomy depends what state you live in. That's up for debate. States' rights. No woman in any state has right. Well, they said that backwards. Doesn't matter what state a woman is in, she has the right to bodily autonomy. That should not be up for debate anywhere. So until all of that changes, I would not expect America's under-baby problem to go away. Not anytime soon. The end. That is the end of where I'm ending with that essay. I have another one that I had planned to write on Sunday until my day started getting my heart broken, and then I did not want to write. So I haven't written in a few days. But an essay of mine that is simply going to be called "The United States Hates Women," and kind of bringing some of these themes out, not in the context of being under-babied, but just in the context of all of the ways in which there is this consistent message coming through that is deeply anti-woman, anti-feminist. Women are meant to breed and to be subservient to their husbands. And that is so dangerous. So dangerous. So we'll see if I get that essay out this week or not. Thank you, Amy, for saying great work. I'm going to come over here and Scrolling up, lots of comments here. Let me see here. Amy says my son has autism, so I sent him to a small school for kids with disabilities. Tuition next year is $90,000. I have to sue the DOE every year for reimbursement because every child is entitled to a free and appropriate public education. Oh my God. So you have to do it again every single year? They don't just vote on it once, like, yep, you've won your case and it's free the whole time? My God, Amy, that is, yeah, we'll have to do a whole other one. Many talks about the state of public education in this country. It's awful. Yes, and the Epstein files are a giant fuck you to children and women. It's disgraceful. Myra says, where did humans go so wrong? These poor males who will never know their potential and just seethe in a corner of existing that has no significance or purpose. It's so gross. Yeah. For over 30 years, one woman has gone to jail in the US. I assume you mean Ghislaine Maxwell. And yeah, that's it. I mean, she counts, but she's barely in prison, and you know she's going to be getting out probably. And yes, she deserves to be there, but why is it only the woman who's there? I'm not liking that. Yeah, so many more that are never on video, Myra, for sure, with the sleep porn on Motherless, for sure that's happening loads of places without being recorded, that men are drugging and taking advantage of their wives. The fact that they're putting them online, it just so adds so much insult to injury. And the fact that they're building community, that they're like solving the male loneliness crisis, making friends and bonding over rape of their partners. That's not a great look. Not a great look. It's because we fund war and not education. Yes. Always money for bombs and never for food education or healthcare, Jessica. Yes. It makes me, like, paying taxes fills me with a rage now. And I am pro taxes. Take my money, but not for this. It just did. See, I just want to pull my hair out. But oh, what did I just do to? We're just gonna. I know I play with my hair too much. We'll just do this. I already mentioned I'm so excited to get it cut and recolored next week. I'm playing with it because it's driving me crazy. Billionaires hate women. Yeah. Yep. All mega bullshit. Yep. Indeed. Oh my gosh. Hello, Dr. Connor. I'm so glad you're here. I wish you'd been here a bit earlier, y'all. Did I say y'all? I used to live in the South. Forgive me. Dr. Connor does live in the South, and she is an OBGYN. She was on the Daily Whatever show with me for Fine Feminist Hour, and we had the most amazing talk about how hard it is to be an OBGYN right now, how they are fleeing the field, how the field is getting older and older, and that younger people are not going into the profession. So the pipeline to refill is just getting narrower and narrower. I have been thinking about you a lot, Dr. Connor, as we've been talking about this essay. I'll put the link to the essay in here again since you just joined. Yeah, it's is it any wonder we're under-babied when the world is so fraught for us? Let me see. Let me see here. Yeah, Amy, I hope Mom Donnie will eventually fix that too. We will see. Yeah, you are in New York. Well, I don't want to give away your location, Amy, but I think you're pretty direct about the fact that you're New York City based. I mean, your book is called Widow in the City, nod to Sex in the City. So I think you were pretty direct. There's a lot of people in New York City. I don't think anyone's going to be able to find you just by knowing that you're in New York, just like I don't think anyone could stalk me in Seattle. You hope Mom Donnie turns his attention toward the New York City DOE. Yeah, we'll see. We'll see what he does. Do you all have any other comments or questions for me about this essay, or really anything else? I can be here for a few more minutes and then I will need to drop because my third activity in my post-work life, the first was talking to the person who's helping me write a book proposal. The second was this. And the third, this is so good. I'm meeting with some of my mom friends. Our kids went to preschool together. and they were all really good friends when they were very little. And they've all kind of they're not fighting with each other. They're not super friends or anything, but we are all still friends. And we are all going to get a drink to celebrate that our kids are graduating high school. So I will be going to meet them shortly at a very cool bar here in Seattle for word nerds. It's specifically a word nerd focused bar. If you live here, you may know which one I'm talking about. Lori says, Dana, thank you so much for all you do and all that you shine a light on. Lori, thank you. You are so sweet. That's lovely, Dana, isn't it? Thank you. It's we've raised some good kids. It's a pretty I made a little note earlier today. It was a real one-off while I was at work. I just sort of dashed it off because I have a family text thread, like my ex-husband and our two kids and I are on a thread that's just always going. And my older daughter said it was a real one-off comment. I wonder if I could find it earlier today. And it was just so cool and thoughtful. And I was like, I know what it was. I was talking about, I also put this on Substack in a note, that my Firefox browser only on my work computer and only on Firefox thinks I'm in Ireland, I think. Because every time, when you open Firefox, if you use it, it has really interesting news stories that are kind of wisely curated for your tastes. But for some reason, mine has changed and now everything is in Ireland. And I'm so not mad about it. I open my thing at work and I'm like, oh, look at all of these redheads in the wind on the moor, these, and the hero images and stories about what things to do in Dublin. And we just went to Ireland a year ago. The three of them are all Irish citizens. I am not, but they got citizenship through their dad. And so I told them that, and he sent back a photo of me with my two daughters in in Galway. And my older daughter is kind of set apart from the rest of us, and she just wrote back, in my own little world. And there was just something so sweet about it. And it just made me think, like, I like them so much. And it's such a cool feeling. Like, we all love our kids. We are programmed to love our kids to the end of time, right? But we don't always have to like our kids. I mean, there's certainly times when my kids drive me crazy, but on the whole, like, boy, I hope they really want to know and spend time with their mom when they're full on adults, because I just enjoy them so much. I respect them so much. And I value their points of view. Like, it's a very cool feeling to have raised an adult now and a close to adult, and to be like, y'all are good people. So anyways, that was my little glowing moment from today. Sky Blue Eyes, I'm so glad you love this chat. It's been so nice. I think is this your first one? Because I feel like I'd remember your username, although to be fair, I'm in menopause, so me and memory are not always the best, right? Amy says, maybe someone on the other side of the veil trying to tell you something. About what, Amy? About Ireland? Maybe. I'm not sure who would be trying to tell me that, but maybe. I like the idea of that. Someone trying to tell me something. I'm not a woo. I think I'm increasingly becoming a woo kind of person. Maybe I need to stop saying I'm not. I'm agnostic enough to just say, I can't really believe it, but I don't disbelieve it. And I had a recent experience with the man I was dating, the one that just ended, who is a widower. And I am certain that it was his late wife paying us a visit. And it was funny. It was good. To me, it was like, I see you and it's good. And it's such a happy memory. And yeah, I have no other explanation for what happened other than that. So yes, I do think sometimes, and the way she reached out was through a song on a TV monitor in a karaoke bar, which that's exactly how I would reach out if I were, when I am gone and if I were trying to send a message about Ireland. Maybe I don't. Maybe I love Dublin, but that is a big to be determined. What comes next? But I think we're about wrapping up today. Before I go, I'm going to do my pitch one more time. You have 3 days left for the extra steep introductory price for paid subscriptions to I Write Out Loud. This is my public live, so everyone is welcome. On Sundays, I host the Sunday Salon, which is only for paid subscribers, and it is truly it is an intimate gathering and just a delightful community that's forming over there. I write a lot of names in this chat are there. I see Amy's here and Laura's here and Linnea's here. They can attest, I think, to this wonderful community conversation we have every week. The $4 a month and the $40 annual subscription rate, those are about to be rolled off. That is my introductory pricing, and I am outside of my introductory window now. I am here and I am building, but I would love for anyone who would like to support this work and to be part of this community to not miss out on the opportunity to get this lower pricing. These are lifelong subscriptions. The rate does not go up in a year. They will stay $4 a month or $40 a year for the duration. So if you would like to support my work at a deeper level, I would be very grateful. And I would love to have you join us for Sunday Salon and for some of the other paid features that I am scheming up that I think and hope will be community building and also educational. So with that, I will just say thank you for saying the community is great, Linnea. And I will say good night. Please join me for Fucked Up Friday tomorrow on the Daily Whatever Show. Lawrence and I will welcome special guest Nick Parrow, a dear friend of ours who is very politically astute. And the three of us are going to have a smashing conversation about the most fucked up news of the week. We always have a wealth of material to choose. For those of you who've never been, we talk about it, we pitch what our most fucked up stories are, and then our chat votes for what the most fucked up story of the week, who the winner is for picking the most fucked up story of the week. It's always a lot of fun. So please join us, and looking forward to seeing you there. And I forgot to acknowledge, Richard, that your kids are awesome and kind. I'm very happy to hear that. It is the best feeling, isn't it? So I'm going to go meet a bunch of mamas who have helped in community, have helped me raise my kind, wonderful kids, and I hope I have helped them raise theirs. And we are going to go raise a glass to our seniors, hopefully of some lovely wine or maybe even a bourbon cocktail. Have a lovely evening, y'all. Love you, mean it. Bye.